We'd like to welcome you to our Veterans Day program. I'm Frankie McLean with the Blythewood Historical Society. It is because of the sacrifices of our veterans and their families that we can gather today across America in freedom. This meaningful program is presented to you by the Blythewood Historical Society and the town of Blythewood to honor our veterans. We thank you for attending, and we know that you will enjoy our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McLean, and the Blythewood Historical Society and Museum, and the town of Blythewood. I would also like to thank our Veterans Day Committee. If you would please stand when I call your name, and Roddy Edgister, James Crosby, Anya Kosum, Mike Childs, Joanne Childs, Frankie McLean, Jonna Sutton, Christy Coggins, Eddie Ballman, Melissa, and Margaret Kelly. I want to thank those for organizing our Veterans Day program. Would you please stand for the presentation of the color by the South Carolina State Guard, the Pledge of Allegiance led by Major Keith Bailey, and join the singing of the national anthem with the Bethel Hanbury Chorus under the direction of Cassandra Portee.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and rendering the proper honors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now have the playing of the national anthem and singing. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we will have the playing of each military's, hold that thought.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey, Major Bailey, one of our former mayors. We thank him so much. We are now, would like for each of you to have a seat. We will ask our Congressman Eddie Bowman to come forward and do our invocation, followed by our special music from the Bethel Hanbury Chorus. Our states are great. Eddie?
Y'all join me in prayer. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. We pray that you will bless them for their unselfish service in the continual struggle to preserve our freedoms, our safety, and our country's heritage for all of us. Bless them abundantly for the hardships they faced, for the sacrifices they made, for their many different contributions to America's victories over tyranny and oppression. We respect them. We pray that you will watch over these special people and bless them with peace and happiness. Amen.
I'd like to thank Congressman Eddie Ballman and the Bethlehem Dairy Chorus for the special job. You know, girls and boys, you hold a special place in my heart and Miss Frankie McLean's heart, because at one time I was the music teacher at that school, and Frankie was the kindergarten teacher. So you have a special place in our hearts. You know, isn't it wonderful to have schools around us and that are strive for excellence? And we thank you for your excellent job. And I have to say, our states are great. Should I start that over again?
No, I think.
All right. Well, I'd like to ask our mayor, Brian Franklin, who came from 3 generations of military service, to share with us his opening remarks, followed by Donna Royson with the presentation of the Quilts of Valor.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to everyone. I first want to thank the Blythewood Historical Society and their board of directors under the leadership of President Mrs. Lomas. And I want to special thanks to Miss Portee. I don't know how many years it's been, ma'am, but she brings delight to all our children as a music director, shares the gift of music, and once again, you did a fantastic job. Thank you, ma'am. Today in Blythewood, we celebrate the honorable service of all men and women, past and present, who answered a call to serve in our nation's military. It's appropriate for us to honor Veterans Day on the same week that we go to the polls and cast votes in free and fair elections. On Tuesday, we were all free to cast our votes in this democratic republic because of all veterans who protect that right and the rights granted to us from God and the United States Constitution. I saw a bumper sticker once that simply said, "If you can read this, thank a teacher. If it's written in English, thank a veteran." And that's so very true today. From the American Revolution to our current efforts to contain the spread of communism in Eastern Europe, veterans are always on the front lines protecting our freedoms and the freedoms of our allies. As Veterans Day is again celebrated in the United States of America, I want to share with you a story given me by Chaplain West of Columbia International University. He says, "I'm often reminded of the events of 2 Samuel chapter 23, verses 13 through 17. And 3 of the 30 chief men went down and came about harvest time to King David at the cave of Adullam, when a band of Philistines was encamped in the valley just before them. David was then in the stronghold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then at Bethlehem. And King David said longingly, 'Oh, that someone would give me water to drink from the well of Bethlehem that is by the gate.' The 3 mightiest of the men broke through the camp of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate and brought it to King David. But he would not drink it. He poured it out to the Lord and said, 'Far be it from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Shall I drink the blood of the men who went at the risk of their own lives?' Therefore he would not drink it, and these things these 3 great men did." In these few verses, we find the special forces operators of King David's army. Here were three mighty men willing to sacrifice their lives in order to bring their water to the king. They had to penetrate enemy lines, they had to find the water, and then they had to invade the enemy as they returned to their king. Because of this experience, these three men, these veterans, developed a unique relationship with one another, a relationship of trust and confidence. All veterans have a unique relationship with each other because of their shared experiences. Some of these experiences arise out of difficult circumstances. War is a unique circumstance that binds together the lives of those who have experienced combat. While not every veteran experiences war, there are other shared experiences that bring them together. We share common experiences of basic training, boot camp, PCSing every 3 to 4 years, TDY trips, family separations, special skills learned through the rigorous training of the military, common units we may have served in, service in foreign countries, running PT at the crack of dawn. Well, unless you're in the Air Force. Being deployed or going underway in the Navy, and many other experiences that are unique to our military life. Chaplain West says he recently saw an individual he'd not seen since high school, almost 46 years. He said they weren't especially close in school, but as soon as he found out about his classmates' military service, they found an immediate connection. They had both been airborne soldiers. They had both served with Special Forces units. Their unique experiences immediately renewed their relationship. Although King David's three mighty men risked everything to bring him water, he did not drink it. Instead, he poured it out as an offering to the Lord. David gave honor to the men who brought him the water in honor of the Lord. It's extremely important that we honor the men and women who serve our nation's great military. If you encounter a veteran in the coming days, please take time to simply say thank you for your service, which I know you do. But you can do more than say thank you. You can offer to pray for that veteran. You can ask them for a specific prayer request. There's no greater way you can honor the men and women who have sacrificed their time, their talents, and their lives than to talk to them and pray with them. Many of our veterans were wounded in conflict, but not all wounds are visible. 19.4 million veterans live in the United States today. The National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report released this past September showed that in 2020, the average number of veteran suicides per day rose to 16.8. In 2020, 6,146 veterans took their own lives in our country. In South Carolina, we lose approximately 118 veterans to suicide every year. We must do better. While we're here today to celebrate honorable service to our nation, let us not forget those who feel left behind. Talk to our veterans. Check on them. Pray for them and with them. Let them know that they are our heroes. Veterans, continue to talk to other veterans, for it is only us who truly understand the battles we face, both during and after service. I want to say thank you all. Thank you to the Blythewood staff who put on this great event. Thank you to the Historical Society, and thank you to the Town Council who continues to fund these great events to honor our veterans. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Can you hear in the back? Okay, thank you. I want to use this microphone because at times I want to face the veterans. My name is Donna Royson, and I represent the Quilts of Valor Foundation, which is a 100% volunteer organization. We are just a bunch of quilters. We like to quilt, and we want to say thank you to the veterans who gave their lives, basically. They made the sacrifice to protect our country, and our way of thanking them is to make a homemade quilt. So all of the quilts we make and all of the work is donated by the volunteers. We're not supported by the U.S. government or any other agency. Our mission, which is based on our founder's dream that she had one time when some soldiers were coming home from deployment, and she wanted to do something to comfort them, and she had a dream, and a soldier was sitting on his cot with a quilt wrapped around his shoulders, and he was just comforted. And so she started this organization, which has grown to be national, and now we have groups in 7 countries. Recently, we went into South Korea. So we are it just explodes, and we're just glad to be quilting for these people. And we have a new group, I'm excited to say, that meets in Blythewood now. And we meet the 3rd Wednesday of every month at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church on Blythewood Road. So if anyone would like to join us, we meet from 10 till 3. Even if you don't sew, we have some people who just come and press, who iron, put things together. One lady came and made us lunch, which was great. And so if you have some free time, please join us sometime. We'd love to have all the help we can get. So, the quilts I'm presenting today, as I said, they're all handmade, but we make them with the finest quality materials, and we expect you to use them. Wash them like you would wash a load of towels. If something happens to your quilt, you let me know and I'll get you another one. So basically, don't go home and fold this thing up and put it in the closet. I want you to use it. I talked to a Mr. Jesse recently, and he's a veteran, served in Vietnam, and he said, every evening I go out on my back porch and I wrap up in that quilt, and half the time I fall asleep. So he gets great pleasure out of his quilt, and I certainly hope that you get the same pleasure out of yours, because many hands touched your quilt. As I said, we have groups that sew these quilts. So your quilt may have been constructed by 5 or 6 different people before the final before the final binding was added to the quilt. And I would like to ask if there are any volunteers for Quilts of Valor in the audience, if you would raise your hand. Yes, we have several. Thank you for coming too. Our leader of the Blythewood group is sitting right down front, Jeannie Hurlbert. She's got her hand raised, so if anyone wants to ask her any questions today about our group that meets on the 3rd Wednesday, please catch her at the end of the program. So as I call your name, I would appreciate if you would stand and step forward, and we will present your quilt. First, we have Mr. James Wood, Jr., United States Air Force, and served in Vietnam. This is the front of your quilt. Yes. Oh, yes, if you would stand. And in keeping with tradition and ceremony, based on our founder's dream, we like to wrap each veteran in their quilt. And if you would remain standing where you are. That's fine. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Dan Reitzman, United States Army, served in Afghanistan 2 tours and 1 tour in Iraq. Upside down. It's upside down. Mr. Carl Kaiser, United States Air Force, served in Vietnam. Mr. Bill Fogarty, United States Army, deployed in Iraq. Now we have Mr. John Cole, United States Army. Mr. Cole served in World War II.
That's your quilt. Look how pretty that is.
I would like to say to all of you, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation and its many volunteers, many of who are here today, we thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your valor. May God bless you all and welcome home.
We are so thankful to have these veterans with us today. Veterans of many hours of service on foreign fields and in our country. Mr. Cole, who served in World War II, is 100 years old, and we just thank him for being here.
Is that all? I left my notes up there. You can get them.
Okay. We as Americans are the most blessed nation in the world. So many people from other countries want to live here. We have the symbol of freedom, and one of our symbols is the American flag. She's been through many battles, but the flag still stands for freedom. But, the biggest little word, but the freedom that we had here today was not free. We're going to have a presentation of the Ragged Old Flag by Christy Lomas, followed by the recognition of the military branches by Major Keith Bailey. Veterans, please stand when you hear your branch of the service played when we listen to our service songs. Mr. Lomas?
I walked through a county courthouse square. On a park bench, an old man was sitting there. I said, "Your old courthouse is kind of run down." He said, "Nah, it'll do for our little town." I said, "Your flagpole's leaned a little bit and it's got a ragged old flag hanging on it." He said, "Is this the first time that you've been to our little town?" I said, "Yes, I think it is." He said, "Have a seat." So I sat down. He said, "I don't like to brag, but we're kind of proud of that ragged old flag." He said, you see that flag there? It got a little hole in it when Washington took it across the Delaware. It got powder burned the night Francis Scott Key sat watching it, writing, say, can you see? It got a bad rip in the seams in New Orleans with Jackson and Pakenham tugging at its seams. It almost fell by the Texas flag at the Alamo, but she waved on though. She got cut with a sword in Chancellorsville. She got cut again in Shiloh Hill. You see, there was Robert E. Lee, Beauregard, Hampton, Bragg, and the south wind blew hard on that ragged old flag. On Flanders Field in World War I, she got a big hole from a Bertha gun. She turned blood red and hung limp and low a time or two in World War II. She was in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. She went where she was sent by her Uncle Sam. But now they were about quit waving her back here at home. She waved my ships from the briny foam, but we need to be waving to her since she's back home. In her own good land, she's been burned, dishonored, denied, refused, and the government for which she stands is scandalized throughout the land. She's getting threadbare, she's getting thin, but she's in good shape for the shape she's in. She's been through the fire before, and I believe she can take a whole lot more. So we raise her up every morning. We take her down every night. We don't let her touch the ground, and we fold her up right. You know, on second thought, I do like to brag, because we're mighty proud of that ragged old flag. But on second thought, if old John Cash was with us today and himself an Air Force veteran, he might add another verse to that from the Holy Bible. If my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear their prayers, forgive their sins, and heal their land. That ragged old flag might forever wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Now, think freely. We're going to present each one of the military organizations' song, and when you hear, if you have served in that particular branch, please stand up when you hear your organization's song. John? The Army. The Marine Corps. United States Navy. the United States Air Force. The United States Coast Guard. The United States Merchant Marine.
Thank you, Keith. The Combat Veteran Memorial has been a vision of the Blythewood Historical Society for 5 years. I would like for the gentleman to come down, and if you have not seen the rendition of the Combat Veteran Memorial, I would like for you to make sure that you see it before you leave. Many of you have seen it, but if you haven't, I do want you to come down. The town of Blythewood has approved the memorial to be located in front of Town Hall. I would like to share with you the vision of this memorial. It is to honor and remember all veterans who have served our country on foreign soil, but especially those from the Blythewood community in time of war, by erecting a combat memorial in a prominent place in our town. The service history of the veteran will be maintained at the Blythewood Historical Society and Museum for the purpose of educating future generations. This vision was presented to the community on May 2015 at the Blythewood Historical Society First Memorial Day program, which was to be located at the Langford Nord House. After consulting with the town official, it was recognized that a more predominant location would be at Doko Meadows Park. We have thought that getting this far was a milestone. Now making it a reality, there are 2 areas which we are working on. One is funding, and the other one is developing a criteria for the names to be inscribed on the memorial. If you are interested in helping with this project, please speak to Jim McLean or Roddy Egester or James Crosby. We are going to need our Blythewood community to support this Combat Veteran Memorial, because the freedom that we enjoy is not free. I would like for the Bethel Hanbury Chorus to come back to the stage now. And as you see our children coming up, we want them to remember the veterans who have served. I can just imagine coming down, driving down Main Street, which is Highway 21, and down Langford Road with the light shining on our flag and on the memorial, and to honor the men and women who have served. It just puts chills on my arms to think of that we can honor our veterans in such a wonderful way. As the children are coming on the stage, we will end our program today by singing God Bless America. Now, do all of you have a flag? Get that flag out. And if you don't have one, I think there's some more. I also would like to thank all the vendors who are here today. They took of their time to come and share with us, and we do appreciate each one of you. After the singing of God Bless America, that will conclude our program. Would everyone please stand? Cassandra, when you're ready, we're ready.
Want me to say ready? Yes. All right.
I'm Councilman Sloan J. Griffin III with the town of Blythewood. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Thank you for your service, your dedication, and hard work to protect us so that we have our freedoms today and tomorrow. Again, thank you for your service. From Sloan Griffin from the town of Blythewood.
It's Councilman Donald Brock here. Just want to thank everybody for coming out to our annual Veterans Day celebration. Beautiful day. Gave out 5 quilts. It was a wonderful time. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you to the town council, the mayor, Councilman Ballman, and the rest of the Historical Society for putting this event on. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Hey, this is Mayor Brian Franklin from Blythewood, South Carolina. I want to thank all the citizens who came out today to celebrate our wonderful veterans and their service. We enjoyed the freedoms to vote, the freedoms provided by God in the U.S. Constitution because our veterans sacrificed to provide those for us and protect them. So thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next year.